As the film opens, we meet a fisherman named Syracuse, who has been searching for fish in the sea. However, his net has been empty for many days. Then, feeling his net was finally heavy, he quickly pulled it from the water. To his shock, he found a young woman tangled in it, looking barely alive. Acting fast, he performed CPR, reviving her slightly, though she was still in critical condition. He decided to turn the boat around to get her to a doctor as soon as possible. But the girl forbids Syracuse and says, "Don't take me anywhere. I'm actually scared of people. Promise me you will hide me." Her words were strange, but Syracuse responded and decided to take her to his mother's house, located on a distant island. Neither did the people know about it, nor did anyone come there. After many days of not getting fish, his financial condition was also not well. He gave the girl all the food he had, and then went to his ex-wife's house to pick up his daughter. Here we know that Syracuse's daughter Annie has a double kidney failure. It means both her kidneys have failed, and due to not getting a donor, she has to get dialysis again and again. During dialysis, Annie asks her dad to tell her a story, and Syracuse tells her today's incident as a story. That once upon a time, there was a poor fisherman. He used to go to the sea every day to catch fish, but for many days there was no fish in his net. And then one day it happened that a beautiful girl got stuck in his net. Annie interrupts him off and asks if she was selkie. Syracuse did not know about the selkie word. Then Annie tells that selkie is actually a creature like humans living in the sea who sings magical songs and could do anything with their magical songs. And you know, Dad, these selkies also live on the ground. They have their own seal coat, which if they drown in the ground, they can live on the ground for 7 years. They can live until the sea itself calls them back. After hearing all this, Syracuse could only respond with a simple HM, as he knew very little about the girl he had found in the sea. He didn't even know her name. Anyway, now Annie's dialysis was also over, after which he drops Annie to her mom's house. He comes to his house. The next day, when he was about to go fishing, he heard that the girl was singing. There was really some magic in her voice, which reminded Syracuse of his daughter Annie, that is this girl Selkie. Anyway, he shook his thoughts and started bringing his boat closer. Then this girl said, "Can I also go fishing with you?" Syracuse said, "Look, it's up to you. There will be a lot of people. You will be uncomfortable yourself." But despite this girl's insistence, Syracuse agreed. Going to the sea, Syracuse asks her about her song, about which this girl does not give a special answer. Now Syracuse asks her, "Do you remember anything about your family? Do you remember your name?" This girl acts as if she doesn't remember anything about herself. But she says to Syracuse, "You can call me Ondine." Ondine is a French word, which means a girl out of water. Anyway, now Syracuse takes out his lobster trap and sees that nothing was trapped in his net even today. But his situation was so bad that he could not go without hunting. He put the traps back in the water, and this time Ondine started singing. She kept singing. After that, when Syracuse set up his trap, surprisingly, there was a lobster trapped in each of his traps, which not only surprised him, but also made him happy. This girl was proven lucky for him. He says to Ondine, "Will you come fishing with me every day? You are lucky for me, and I will give you money for this." After catching a lot of lobsters, Syracuse comes back to the town where he had to pick her daughter from school. Annie was on her motor wheelchair at this time, while Syracuse is in his car. Annie tells him to continue the story that he had left yesterday. Then Syracuse tells him that the girl who came out of the sea, her voice was magical. Whenever the fisherman took her on his boat for fishing, the girl sang a song, and a lot of fish got trapped in the fisherman's net. Now Syracuse tell her this story that they reach Annie's mom's house. Syracuse told her to go home and turn to the other side because he had just come to pick her up. Now Annie was following him, because Annie thought that the story her dad was telling her was true, and her dad was hiding something from her. That's why she started following her dad, and then her suspicion turned into reality when she actually saw a girl at her dad's house for whom her dad had brought some new clothes. Then Syracuse asks Ondine, "How long are you going to stay here?" On it, Ondine replies, "It depends on you." And then Syracuse unwillingly said, "You can stay here forever." And listening to this, Ondine was happy. Here he tells Ondine that, "I have told Annie about you, but not like you are true. I have told her about you in the form of a story, and this did not upset Ondine, but she liked it." On the other side, Annie, who had seen a girl at her dad's house, felt that she was a sturky girl. And now Syracuse exists in the real world or not. To investigate this, she goes to a library and borrows some books from there. On the other side, we see Syracuse, who had come to the church to confess his sins. Actually, he and his wife used to be very bad drug addicts at one time. At that time, his daughter got very ill, about which he found later. And then when Syracuse took him to the doctor, he found out that his daughter had a double kidney failure. Knowing this, he completely broke down and decided to leave everything. Because a single parent had to be cured to take care of his daughter, and his wife was not the material to be cured. That's why he divorced his wife. However, the court didn't grant Syracuse custody of Annie, as he was just an ordinary fisherman. He didn't have enough money to take care of his daughter. Annie lived in her mother's house, but Syracuse did all Annie's work himself. After all this confession, Syracuse also tells the priest that he has found a girl from the sea, whom she has brought to his house. The priest listened carefully to everything, but didn't give much weight to the last part, as it sounded like a story. After collecting the information about Selkie, Annie comes to her dad's house, where she sees Ondine singing while swimming. Seeing her singing, Annie comes close to her and asks loudly, "Are you a selkie? Can you cure her with your magical song? Where is your seal coat? I know you have a seal coat too. If you bury it in the ground, you will live here for another 7 years." Annie was talking a lot and not giving Ondine a chance to speak. She understood from all these stories that she is Syracuse's daughter, because Syracuse told her that he told his daughter about Ondine in the form of a story. That's why she didn't answer any of Annie's questions. On the other hand, Syracuse has also gone to the library because somewhere he also doubts Annie's story, that Ondine has come from another world. He also feels that Ondine is a selkie, that's why whenever she sings, a lot of fish get trapped in her net. Here, in this movie, we are introduced to a new character. Who is he? Where did he come from? We don't know about him yet, but it is clear that he is looking for Ondine. The next day, Syracuse takes Ondine again to catch fish. He throws his net in the sea, and Ondine starts singing. Meanwhile, his net fills with a variety of small and large fish, and Syracuse begins to pull it up. The guards standing far away are also surprised to see this fish net, and come to check on Syracuse's boat. They were now doubting that Syracuse had something illegal through which he was catching so many fish. Seeing the guards coming towards him, Syracuse quickly tells Ondine to hide. And when the guards come and search everything here, first they don't get anything straight from here. When they open the fishing net cabin, they see Ondine there, about whom they started questioning Syracuse. So Syracuse asked them, is it illegal to bring a girl on the boat? They really had no answer to this, so they left Syracuse. But before leaving, they asked, "What are you doing that so many fish are stuck in your net?" When the guards left, Syracuse tells Ondine, "Look, this is a small town. The police saw you, and everyone will find about you. It would be better if you come in front of everyone so that there are no more questions." Ondine also comes in front of everyone at the behest of Syracuse, and people start looking at her. She felt very strange and confused. After leaving the port, Ondine told Syracuse, "People look at me strangely, as if I don't seem right to them." Then Syracuse says, "No, you are very beautiful, that's why people stare at you." Finally, Syracuse introduces Annie to Ondine. She was very happy to meet Ondine. She thought Ondine a selkie. Syracuse goes shopping with Ondine and Annie. The next day, Annie comes to Syracuse's house again, where she meets Ondine again. After a while, Ondine finds out that Annie doesn't know how to swim, and she starts teaching Annie how to swim. After teaching her how to swim, she left Annie on the ground, but her foot got stuck in something strange. When she took it out, she saw that it was a net that had some special things in it. Annie quickly said, "I know you have a seal coat in it. You quickly put it in the ground so that you can stay here for 7 years." Hearing this, Ondine did not answer much, and they hid the bag in the backyard of the house. Here Ondine said to Annie, "Look, no one should know this. This will be our secret." Annie agrees for this. The next day, there was a small function in the town on the seaside. Syracuse took Ondine and Annie, where Annie did a mischief to check Ondine's powers and jumped into the water. To save Annie, Ondine immediately went into the water and saved her from the water. She was in a very bad condition, so Syracuse left her at her mom's house and then came home with Ondine. Syracuse was very upset. He was guilty that he did not take care of his daughter. Here Ondine relaxes him, and the two of them get very close. Now the next day, after getting close, Syracuse began to feel guilty again that Ondine is a human being. He goes to church and confesses that he went close to a girl about whom he does not know whether she is from the land or the sea. Even today, the priest did not take much action on this confession. As he came out after the confession, he met a stranger. He was the same man who was shown on Syracuse's ship a while ago to find Ondine. This man asks Syracuse about Ondine, but Syracuse ignores him and moves on. The next scene shows that Annie was undergoing dialysis again today, where she told her dad that I am having bad dreams, and I think I will not survive now. Her dad makes her believe that nothing will happen to you. You will stay with me, and everything will be fine. After the session, when Syracuse takes Annie to her mom's house, he sees that her mom was not at home and the house was locked. Now Syracuse went to the city to find Annie's mom. And taking advantage of this, the stranger who was looking for Ondine reached Syracuse's house. Thank God Ondine had already heard his arrival, and she hid in the greenhouse. Here Syracuse finds his ex-wife, to whom he asks for the house keys, but she refuses and says, "It's okay. Let Annie stay here. Annie will be fine here." Although she had just had a dialysis session, Syracuse had to leave his daughter there and come home. As he came home, he was shocked because he did not find Ondine anywhere. As he went behind the house, he saw Ondine sitting there. She was scared. Here Syracuse asks him, "Why are you hiding here? And today a man came to me looking for you." "Who is that man? Who is he to you?" Ondine replied, "He is my crazy husband to whom I want to stay away." Syracuse did not want to disturb her much, so he said, "Okay, then make a wish to get rid of that man." But here Ondine wished for Annie to be fine instead of wishing for herself. Hearing this, Syracuse felt strange because he did not know what had happened to his daughter, Annie, who was going home with her drunk mom. Her mom had an accident with her boyfriend's car because they were both drunk. In this accident, the man was killed. Annie's mom was also badly injured while Annie had minor injuries, but she was unconscious. When she regained consciousness hours later, Syracuse was with her and was worried. The doctors came to her and gave him a big news. Alex, Annie's mom's boyfriend who died in this accident, was registered as a donor, and his kidney was perfectly matched with Annie's. Annie's life could have been saved by giving her kidney to Annie. Hearing this, Syracuse becomes happy, and he immediately agreed for the operation. Annie's operation is finally successful. And here we can see the person's funeral who donated Annie's kidney, where Syracuse also consoles his ex-wife. And to relax his ex-wife, he also takes her to the pub, where he got into his ex-wife's trap and drank a lot this time. Because of this, he began having strange thoughts. Now, in a drunken state, he returns to his boat, where Ondine is hiding from the man following her. He tells Ondine to go back to her husband, but Ondine reveals the truth to him. She is not his wife, nor is she even married. However, Syracuse doesn't understand any of it. Then he realized that Ondine had lied to him, and she is really a creature living in the sea. That's why he left her near the sea. In the next scene, he brings Annie to his house, as she needs constant care. As Annie comes home, she asks him about Ondine, but he lied that Ondine went back. Annie isn't upset by this, as she knows Ondine will definitely return. After all, she didn't take her shellcoat with her. While watching TV, Annie watches a French channel on which a French band was singing. This was the same song that Ondine always sang, and listening to this song, Syracuse gets shocked. And he found out that Ondine was telling the truth, and she is a human. Her song wasn't a magical one. It was a song in French, and the fish he caught in her presence was merely due to her good luck. Thinking this, he regrets that he left Ondine helplessly near the sea. To rectify his mistake, he immediately went to the place where he had left Ondine. He found Ondine shivering near the watchtower. She was surprised to see Syracuse here and asks why you come here. Syracuse tells her that I heard your song on TV and I am convinced that you are a human being. But now tell me the truth. Why did you come here and why are you running away from that man? What is the truth of your life? Here, she tells the truth that she's a drug dealer. She used to work with a powerful gangster, and one day, while they were smuggling a large quantity of drugs during a sea journey, they were caught by the police. To escape, Ondine and her companion jumped into the water. Her companion was the same stranger who was looking for her again and again. Her companion told her that whatever happens, don't take the bag of drugs off your shoulders. But it was getting difficult for Ondine to survive with the bag of drugs. To save her life, Ondine threw the bag, and then suddenly she got trapped in the trap of Syracuse. That's why that man was looking for Ondine and came after Syracuse. Ondine had done the wrong thing, but now Ondine had changed. He started feeling pity for Ondine in this condition. That's why he brought Ondine back to his house. But when they came home, They were shocked to see that the man had already entered the house and made Annie a captive so that Syracuse could easily tell him the whereabouts of Ondine. Annie had told him everything, that Ondine is a girl from the sea and she will come back here because she has also left her seal coat here. That man tells her that it is not the girl's seal coat, but the drugs wrapped in the bushes. Hearing this, Annie did not understand anything. In the meantime, Ondine and Syracuse came in front of the man. Fueled by anger, the man continued to assault Ondine and asked her about that bag. Ondine takes him TP the bushes where there were no drugs, and the man starts hitting Ondine in anger. Before he could end her, Annie says, "I hid that bag, thinking it was Ondine's shell coat, on my dad's boat." The next scene shifts to the boat, where everyone frantically searches for the bag of drugs. The man was also searching for the bag like a madman when Ondine suddenly outsmarted him and pushed him into the sea. In this way, they all managed to rid themselves of him. Ondine no longer wanted to be part of any more crimes, so she gathered the drugs and tossed them into the water. She was ready to start a new life. In the final scene of the story, we see Ondine and Syracuse getting married, where they will spend the rest of their lives with Annie and live happily together. The story concludes with this image. That's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something new. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment below. Let me know what you think about this movie and what other movies or documentaries you want me to review next. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos like this one. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.